All right, we're back, and it's time for Good Vibes. And joining us, of course, is Debbie Cox DeNova. And Debbie, I hadn't seen you since New Year's. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
All right, so we're going to keep this thing going because body language hacks for higher vibrations. When I was reading the memo on the show today, I'm going, well, what the heck does that mean? But I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes. Okay, so we're talking about using our body, our physiology, to raise vibrations not only in other people, but in yourself. Because we already know that the emotions that we experience on a regular basis, the thoughts that we have, register in the body. And so, for example, if you think of someone who is low in confidence, what kind of posture do you think about?
Low in confidence. Sagging shoulders.
Yeah, the shoulders kind of protract forward. And
lips are hanging.
Right, and you're sort of closing off, right? And researchers, social researchers find that that is across all animals. So it's not just human beings. When we're low in confidence and low in power, we tend to close off and make ourselves smaller. We fold, we cover. Whereas if you're confident and you're powerful, what do you expect?
Like a peacock.
Yes,
you're
exactly.
walking around. Yeah.
Expansion, right? Our shoulders go back, we're open, we're taking up more space, and this again is not just in human beings, but it's across all animals. So, we already know that our emotions are registering in our bodies. The question is, can we affect our emotions by adjusting our body, sort of faking it to make it, right? And research shows that yes, indeed, you can do that. So today I want to talk about ways that you can use your body, your hand gestures, and then I want to share one hack for raising power, all right, to adjust the vibrations within yourself, because it always starts with us.
You said fake it so you can make it, but how about if we make it so we can fake it?
That too. Yes, absolutely. And really it's about faking it until you become it, because we've talked about this before. What you're feeling and thinking on a regular basis actually becomes your vector reality. We're not all sharing the same reality, right? We're not sharing the same truth. We're creating our truth by the thought patterns that we have on a regular basis, which of course are associated with certain emotions, right? So how you feel about yourself really matters, because it's going to come out in the way that you communicate, it's going to come out in your posture, and it's going to impact how others see you, and we're very social creatures. So when others see us a specific way, it's kind of this negative feedback loop, okay? So let's talk first about posture. So someone who is high confidence, high power, again, they take up a lot of space. So if you're somebody, and I invite the people at home right now to sort of do a self-evaluation of your posture right now without changing anything. How are you sitting? Start to become aware of how you hold your body and understand that, yes, this is a reflection of how you think, but it also is impacting the way that you think. So we can adjust this, okay? So if you find yourself crossing your arms when you're in public and sort of taking up less space, this is not only decreasing your personal power, but it's sending a signal to other people of defeat, that you have low confidence. It gives them less confidence in you, okay? So we're gonna talk about, let's talk about walking first of all. People who are confident, their head is lifted, right? So right now at home, go ahead and adjust your posture so you can feel the difference between a closed, low power position. You're lifting your chin, right? Your shoulders are back and down and relaxed. Your chest is open. And when you walk, you're relaxed and sort of enjoying the way that you walk. So there's some research on walking too.
You sound like a lady that used to call me on hurricane coverage. After so many days, I'd be like, and welcome back. She'd go, Martin, sit up straight, put your chest out, and project. And I'd go, reminders are good.
Yes, and when you do it, don't you feel different? I mean, right. So, and it's just a matter of changing and tweaking the way you are. So shoulders back down, chest lifted, expanding. People who are powerful tend to take up more space. So you see, there's a researcher, a social psychologist, Amy Cuddy. She does a great TED Talk on power, okay? And so some power poses that you might see are hands on the hip, like the Wonder Woman, right? If you're sitting at a desk, if you can imagine your hands back, I'm not gonna do it right here, but you pick your feet up, right? And what they show is that when you're sitting at a table, it's people actually, when you're evaluating who has the most power, it typically is the one who's the most relaxed and open, right? People who are in a powerful position, and this again, we see also in primates primates who are higher in the hierarchy of leadership, they tend to have actual hormonal differences in their body. So we see not only a higher level of testosterone, but we see a lower level of cortisol, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is true in high power leaders and humans and also primates, right? So high testosterone, we understand, right? But low cortisol makes a lot of sense too, because think about it. You don't want just a high power person who's very stress reactive, right? You want somebody who handles stress well, who's kind of even, relaxed, has a good attitude about them. So in both humans and animals, it's high testosterone, low cortisol. So they not only are very good at making decisions and competent, but they're also really good in stressful situations.
Well, this is a great topic.
Yes.
And matter of fact, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, I want to hear more, because there's a lot of people after Hurricane Ida and COVID, their plates are full.
Yeah.
Stress levels boiling over. So we could all use a little help.
Yes, absolutely.
But let me ask you, Debbie, because I know a lot of people, I always talk with my hands.
Yes.
Women take me on by your time, because I'm always, if I make a point, I'll go. Hand gestures. What does that tell you about a person?
Okay, this is very fascinating. So there is a social psychologist named Vanessa Van Edwards. If you are fascinated by this topic, I highly recommend you get her book, Captivate, and look at all of her stuff. It's amazing. So she calls herself a recovering awkward person, right? So she studies people and our relationship to each other. And one of the things that they looked at was TED Talks. Okay, so they wanted to know what divides a good TED Talk, one that goes viral, from a bad one. And so they looked at thousands of hours of TED Talks, what people wore, how they spoke, and their hand gestures. And what they found, very interestingly, was that on average, the ones who did really well at their TED Talks used an average of 465 hand gestures within an 18-minute time span of their TED Talk.
Really?
Whereas those who did poorly used 272 hand gestures on average. It's a significant difference, okay? So what would you say is the first thing that you notice on a person when you're first meeting them?
Just the kind of vibe that they give me. Just
Okay.
right off the bat. The kind
But
of
in terms of their body, what body part do you feel you would have noticed first on a person? Is it the eyes, the smile, the...
Probably their eyes, the
Okay.
smile.
Yeah. So when Vanessa Van Edwards and her team asked people what they noticed first, that was the most common thing that people gave. Eyes, smile, some people said shoes. But in actuality, it is the hands. And this goes back to
Really?
like caveman days, where
Okay.
it makes sense. Are you friend or foe? Are you carrying a rock? Are you carrying a stick? People get highly nervous and their cortisol spikes when a person hides their hands behind their back, because it's kind of like, well, the attention starts going, well, what's going on back there, you know?
Yeah.
And the longer you hold your hands back there, the more their attention, they're distracted from whatever you're saying, because they're wondering, when is she going to take her hands out from behind her back? Whereas when someone is showing their hands, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm a friend, right? So the TED Talkers who did really well, they came on stage and they waved. They showed, I'm a friend, right? They used very specific hand gestures, right? And one of the things that Vanessa Van Edwards says is some things that we've been taught are positive hand signals might not actually be. So, for example, pointing up or pointing at the other person when you're talking can actually trigger memories of being talked down to, maybe by a mom or a school teacher. And so what's preferable is using open hands, right? I'm a friend, I don't have a weapon, right? Or the OK symbol. So when you're talking, touching your index finger to your thumb and showing that you know, making a point this way, right? Also, making sure that your hand gestures match what you're saying. So you don't want to say, I have a really big idea, because the brain will look at this and listen to your words, and there will be sort of this dissociation where it's like, no, right? When you're speaking and you actually use hand gestures that match what you're saying, it increases confidence, because it shows not only do you know what you're saying verbally, but you can match it up with hand gestures that are appropriate.
So if you're saying I have a really big idea.
Big idea.
Yeah.
People like
Not
that a
a
lot
really
more.
big idea. Yeah.
You don't want to say, I have a really big idea, right?
Right.
So you want hand gestures that match up. You want them to be open. You want them to be appropriate and decisive. And people will actually, like you more and connect to you more when you use proper hand gestures.
That's good. And I guess we go through our day and we see so many people, and we probably know it. If you ask me about all my 10 closest friends, I could tell you the hand gestures and all, but we never stopped to think about it until we asked.
Exactly.
So it's all subliminal, isn't it?
It is. It's subliminal. And we pick up on micro expressions as human beings. We're very intuitive. If someone's fake smiling, in other words, smiling with just the lower half of their face, we can tell when it's not genuine, when it doesn't reach all the way up to the cheekbones, and it doesn't elicit a good response within us. So sometimes when we think that we're doing well by forcing a smile, people can feel that. It has a different effect on them, and it actually makes you less memorable and less likable. So smile when you actually genuinely, authentically feel like smiling. And I know we don't have very much time, but I want to share this hack with you because this again comes from Amy Cuddy's research. And so they took people and they put them into a high stress situation, an evaluative situation, a job interview, with people who were trained not to give any social feedback. So in other words, you're talking to them and they're just sitting there staring at you, which the brain hates. Humans do not like that, right? It spikes the cortisol. It's like social quicksand.
Makes you nervous.
It makes you nervous, right? So Amy Cuddy took this group of people and put them into two groups. The high power pose people were asked to do a power pose like this, or like this, or like hands on the desk for 2 minutes before the interview, whereas other people were given the instructions to do this. And what they found was that not only were the high power people evaluated as people that they wanted to hire, they were more likable, and on a hormonal level, those who were in the high power pose had, let me make sure that I'm giving this to you right. They had 20% increase in testosterone, a 10%, and whereas with the low power pose, 10% decrease in testosterone. With the high power group, there was a 25% decrease in cortisol and a 15% increase in cortisol for the low power group. So it actually changed people hormonally.
This is amazing stuff. We might have to expand this in the next time you come around because this is cool stuff.
It is
really
cool stuff. I like it.
So with that said, Debbie, we'll see you next week on Good Vibes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more. Don't go away.